It's 6 o'clock, so we're going to call the meeting to order. And first thing on our agenda is the land acknowledgement. As we meet today, let us first give thanks and acknowledge that the land upon which we are gathered is part of traditional indigenous territories, including the Haudenosaunee, the people of the Longhouse, also known as the Iroquois Confederacy, and the Ganyangahaga, the people of the land of Flint, also known as the Mohawk Nation. And we thank Tony David, Director of St. Regis Mohawk Tribe Environmental Division, for this land acknowledgement. And I also want to acknowledge right now that we have a new member joining us tonight. Rachel Graham is here, and she is from Montana, right?
Yep,
yeah,
Montana.
Right. So we will all introduce. Is it Sam? Okay with you if we all introduce ourselves?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we start with the people on the computers, because we always do you last. Nicole?
Sure thing. Good evening, everybody. I'm Nicole Terminelli. I'm the legislator from District 14, and I'm the liaison to the EMC.
Okay. Let's see, I can't read it. I see Lucas.
Is Lucas on?
I'm not sure. He's up there, but anyway.
Lucas, are you with us?
I'm here. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to unmute on me. So hi everyone.
Okay.
My name is Lucas. I'm a naturalist and educator at the Nicandry Nature Center. I've been with the EMC a couple years now. Looking forward to tonight.
Okay. So Jason, since you're here as our guest, we'll let you speak to.
Do you want to? There are a few more people online.
Okay, I can't.
Sue.
Yeah. Jayla.
Kayla White.
Jayla.
Hi everyone, my name is Jayla White. I'm the Aquatic Invasive Species Coordinator for Region 6. I work out of Brownville, and I also coordinate the WISP program, which is the Watercraft Inspection Steward Program for the region. And I just started just a few months ago, so I'm new, but open to any questions that anyone might have for me.
Thank you. I'm sorry I missed all you guys.
That's okay.
I see Brian.
Hi, I'm Randy. I'm the Regional Director for Region 6.
All right, thank you for coming. Now we'll do Jason.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you.
Jason Fotenhauer. I'm not a member of the EMC, but I'm the director of the St. Lawrence County Planning Office. I work with Sam.
Hi, Linda Page, member of the EMC for a year. We're in the town of Hopkins.
I'm Sue Rao, member of the EMC. I live in the town of Norfolk.
Neil Woodworth. I'm a retired environmental lawyer, and I live in Wanakina with Rachel. Well, not now. Yeah, we don't want to start any
Lance Reaver, and I'm on the EFCL, and I live here.
I'm Sam Joseph. I work in the county planning office, staff for the EMC.
I'm Adam Pearson, professor at City Hospital. I live in Canada.
I'm Brian Washington, I'm the vice chair and retired chemistry professor. I live in Canada.
Michael Weaver, from Augsburg.
Mike Iverson, I live in Canton. I'm the sustainability director at St. Lawrence University.
And do you have anything you'd like us to know about you?
Sure. So again, Rachel Graham, live in Wanakina. I work at SUNY ESF, the Ranger School. Moved back to New York about 4 years ago. I had been living in Oregon for 11 years prior to that. So I have some background as staff for state environmental agencies. I worked for the Oregon State Marine Board for 11 years. And prior to that, for the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality for 5 years.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay, Sam, you have a quorum.
You have a quorum.
Okay.
Have everyone here besides Don.
Yep. Okay, and the acceptance of the order of business is next. Did you want to change anything, Sam? Good, okay. Does anybody else have any comments about the agenda, items for unfinished business or for new business? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes.
Actually, can I?
Yes.
Wanted to ask your question was, if you want to change the agenda or whatever?
Yeah.
Can we add to new business trees?
Trees. Anything in particular about trees?
Trees on the St. Lawrence County government space in the village camp.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
Let's see. We're gonna approve this meeting schedule, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's under council logistics.
Okay.
Yes. Hearing none, let's move on to the minutes. Sam sent them out with the announcement of the meeting. There also are copies here, if anyone needs a copy here. Are there any comments about the minutes? Did you want to say anything?
I looked them over, and Sam did his usual excellent job, and I really had nothing substantive to add.
Neil is our secretary, for those who don't know. And he is the one that approves the minutes that we get as a draft for the meeting. Sam actually writes most of it, but he approves it and makes sure that it's accurate. Okay.
I have just one section in the 80K master plan in item 3, subsection E. There's discussion on what defines power-driven mobility devices. The one sentence here says concerns about whether this will allow ATV/side-by-sides into wilderness areas of the park. And then the last sentence refers to permits are for ATVs as opposed to UTVs and side-by-side. So I was just confused that maybe where you have ATV side-by-side in one sentence, but you didn't include UTV.
That was just the nature of the discussion that was happening, so it was just I don't know exactly the language of what defines them. I think it's like weight classes and...
Well, they're very distinctly different machines.
Yeah.
And so we need to be really schooled in defining what we're talking about.
I think, based on what I know, and I've spent a lot of time working on this particular topic, that side-by-sides and UTVs are pretty much the same thing.
Synonymous.
Okay. As you know, an ATV, it has a different legal description under the vehicle and traffic law. And so that's the, and ATVs generally are a single person.
Correct.
Operated by a single person.
Okay.
So I think that's what we were trying to say.
I was just getting nitpicky in the weeds, but...
Would it be good to amend it to just simply strike the and side-by-side?
Yeah, I think you could do that.
And put in UTV instead?
Or UTVs right
Just
there.
use UTV.
Okay. I'll make a motion to strike the side-by-side from whatever this section is.
Just
amend it. It's an edit, it could be an edit.
Just for clarity, there's two places where it says side by side. Should I strike both of them and replace it with UTV?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor of taking side-by-sides out of the document and replacing it with UTV in, is it section E?
Yes.
Section E of the discussion on the changes in the Adirondack Park master plan, is that okay?
This discussion was about amendments,
Right.
new amendments to the Adirondack Park Statement Master Plan.
So all in favor of changing side by side to UTV, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Any abstentions? Okay, so that is changed. We'll now be considering the amended minutes. So,
I move acceptance, the amended minutes.
do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of accepting the minutes as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Any abstentions? Okay, the minutes are accepted. Now we're going to go on to council logistics. And the first two things are sort of related. Would you like to speak to those, Sam?
Jason's going to speak to the combined meeting with the county planning board on new wetland regulation.
Sure. That's where we're at.
Sure.
Okay.
Of course.
Thanks, Sue. So there's a sister board to your board, the EMC, known as the St. Lawrence County Planning Board. They meet monthly as well, and their charge is to review any development project that falls within, there are certain triggers that require review by this board. The biggest is a proximity trigger. Anything within 500 feet of a state or county highway requires review by this board, the County Planning Board. So another colleague of Sam's, Preston Santama, and myself, are staff to the County Planning Board, and they meet, as I said, monthly on Thursdays, the second Thursday of the month. And they have had they do a work plan every year, and as part of this work plan, they identify just different topics to discuss and also opportunities to have joint meetings with other boards that are staffed by the planning office. Last year, the County Planning Board met with another board, the county's Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board. And at our discussion about the work program for 2025, they suggested, hey, we haven't met with the EMC for several years. We did have a joint meeting probably 4 or 5 years ago now. And they suggested that it would be great to get together to talk with the EMC. There are certainly some joint or some similar projects that you've been involved with, that the County Planning Board has been involved with over the years. Most recently, the County Planning Board has reviewed a lot of solar development projects. I know solar has been something that's been discussed in with this board as well. And most recently, just last week actually, we looked at a pretty interesting development proposal for a giant, I guess there's no other better word to describe it, but a giant lettuce growing facility. It's a 10-acre facility, about 450,000 square feet under roof in the town of Messina that is proposed on some land that would be leased from Alcoa. And so the County Planning Board reviewed that project, and also some other projects that most recently have been reviewed, data centers, smaller projects, commercial development proposals around the county. So they meet monthly, and they are wondering, they asked me to come to this your meeting tonight and extend an invitation to have a joint meeting in April of this year, and a common topic that could be discussed is the new state wetland regulations. You know, there was just a webinar today that gave a bit of a snapshot into the changes to the wetland regulations, but that's certainly something that the County Planning Board will be attuned to. I believe this board will be as well. So that might be something that could be a topic we might be able to ask Jayla or Randy or some other representative from the DEC to come and speak to the joint boards to give us a little more insight into the new rules and how the rollout's going. I guess the catch, if you will, is that the boards don't meet on the same night, of course. So We are wondering if your board would be willing to modify your schedule in April to meet on the second Thursday. They usually meet at 7. I could ask the planning board to move back to 6, so it would be at least the same time frame. I'm sure they'd be amenable to that. But they, because of some of the regulatory actions that they need to take, they have advertised all their meetings in advance, and so it's a little more difficult to change their meeting time than the EMCs, but I understand that may be a conflict for some. So if that doesn't work, if the whole idea doesn't work, that's fine. Just wanted to roll it out to the group here tonight and see if there was an interest in having a combined meeting with the county planning board.
I don't have a
Looks to
problem.
me like we've got April 10th
Correct.
scheduled to have a meeting. So is that our April 10th meeting would be the joint meeting?
That is, yes, if that's what's on the schedule. Oh, Sam already put it on the schedule. Okay.
Sam made us a
This is a proposed
schedule.
schedule, it's not like
Yeah.
Right,
we haven't
okay.
voted on it yet.
So yeah, that would be, that's the second Thursday of April, and that's when they would meet. And then we would meet in this building, and we certainly could look to meet at 6 o'clock.
I think it's a great idea. I would like to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that takes a motion, I'll do so after we have a chance to discuss it.
Sure. Does anybody have any other?
Yeah, I got a question. So this will be our monthly meeting. It's not in addition to, so our monthly meetings tend to be long.
Right.
2 hours.
Right.
So logistically, time-wise.
Well, Michael, we'll have a 4-hour meeting, that's all, because the planning board usually meets for 2 hours and you meet for 2 hours. No, that's a great point. We don't want to have a 4-hour meeting, I understand. Sam and I have been brainstorming a little bit. There are two courses of action we could take. Certainly we can pare down the agendas so we could all meet within a 2-hour time frame. What drives the county planning board county planning board agenda are projects. So there are some months, like last week, where we had the large greenhouse project and a couple other projects, where that was a full 2-hour meeting and quite a bit of discussion about those projects. We may have a very light agenda. We may have one project, no projects. There are some months when there are no projects. If there is a very heavy agenda for the planning board, what we're thinking is we would come together, have our joint discussion, meet and greet, have the presentation if that's amenable to the group on the wetlands, and then we could break off and go our separate ways. You could have your business meeting probably back in this room, and the county planning board, which meets upstairs in the second floor conference room, could just continue their meeting. But it would, some of the value of this, I think, is just seeing how each one of the boards operates for the members. So you get a flavor of what that board does. The planning board gets a flavor of what you do. So I think a pared down agenda is probably a better instructive process, but it will be driven by projects. So again, if there are lots of projects, we'll just separate and you'll continue, and the planning board will take their action.
Thanks.
If we agree to this, would it be best that the chair of the planning committee and Sue correspond as far as establishing an agenda?
Sure. Yeah. I think we certainly could do that. We can.
I will not be the chair then, probably, because we have elections in March.
Okay.
Oh, you're looking at me.
We can certainly,
Yeah, but anyway,
whoever it is, we can work.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It will be figured out, yeah.
Sounds good.
I think it would be great if we could kind of telegraph to our members to try to, as much as possible, be in person for that meeting.
Right,
As much as we can. I mean, I think our Zoom component has worked pretty well, but I think for that particular meeting, it would be great if we could get the maximum participation.
Yeah, the weather should be good.
Is there a space to accommodate that?
Upstairs.
Yeah.
Is there, I don't know what's upstairs.
Yeah, it's a large, it's probably 3 times the size of this room, so.
They're special.
How many are on the planning board?
There are 15 members of the planning
15,
board.
okay.
Yes.
So it's not giant.
So yeah, full participation by both boards would be about 30 people, so I think that room could accommodate that.
Does anyone coming by Zoom have any comments or anything?
I think a cooperation like this is just a fantastic opportunity, and we should jump at it.
Right. Thank you, Lucas. Okay. Sounds wonderful. I think it will be great. And
So do we need a motion to approve this joint meeting from us?
well, we have the meeting schedule we're going to approve. I guess we could specifically.
We can do it as part of that, sure.
Yeah, I was thinking that it would be part of that because that's the only day, as far as I can see on the calendar, that's the only day that will not be the third Wednesday. August is always pretty much our picnic. In December, we don't normally meet. So I think that if we could have a little discussion on the calendar, if anyone did, but I think passing the calendar with the, I guess, idea that on the 10th we would be meeting with the county planning board. The way to put it all together. Does anybody have any other thoughts? Do you like the, continuing it on the third Wednesday? I think it works out. Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the meeting schedule as presented by Sam with the agreement that on the 10th we're going to meet together with the county planning?
Also move.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Anyone
Aye.
against? Anyone abstaining? Okay, this is our schedule, and that's great. It's really nice to have a calendar of things you see. You can hang it up. Okay, and now we have something that the E-Board, which is the executive board, has talked about often. And at this meeting, we thought we would maybe try to every month have 1 or 2 of our own members just give the board an update of things they know that are happening in the area, their own things they're working on, maybe a private interest they'd like to work on in the future, and just like a 5-minute little snapshot. And we probably wouldn't have too many questions. We're just going to listen, and we're going to take it in, and then maybe if somebody would like to discuss it more, we could either do it at the end if we have time, or we could put it on the agenda for the future. So our very brave Linda has agreed to do the first one.
Why not? Okay.
Excuse me one second.
You've got meeting location after schedule.
Yeah, that's, okay, you're right. Okay. In addition, well, let's have Linda do her thing, and then we'll go back to the location. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh, okay, so just briefly, there's a couple of items from previous meetings, I guess they fall under unfinished business, that I was interested in, that made it onto our agenda. So I have contact residents that live along the Deer River. I saw them over the holidays, and they are my monitors to keep in touch with regarding that situation. They live right on the river, and keeping them schooled on the forms that are available in the town office to fill out if there's an official way to register a complaint. So it's on my agenda to actually go get one of those forms myself, just so I know what it has on it and stay in touch with those folks. Also, last year I spoke with Andrea Malik. She coordinates the town of Colburn black fly mosquito remediation project. She actually would be willing to come speak here if we were doing speakers again. They're getting into their busy time now because they start up in late March, April, administering the larvicide. But we had the flare-up of Tripoli and West Nile virus because of the expanded mosquito population due to warmer climate. Hopefully this winter is maybe eliminating some of that egg base, but at any rate, that's a potential person if we were interested in mosquito and virus mitigation. I also, in the fisheries last year, spoke with John Matthews of the St. Lawrence Valley Sportsman's Club because he's, through a friend of mine who worked with them throughout the years, hatching, raising walleye stock. Anyway, the update is that it's been so successful, the restocking of the walleye in the Oswegatchie River, that the population in Lake Ontario and St. Lawrence River now is stable enough where the DEC no longer works with the Sportsmen's Association, but possibly will use them in the future. John Matthews told me that the person at the DEC, that Jana Lantry, she's the director of Region 6 Fisheries.
She's a fisheries director.
Right, that their next phase is no longer raising the fry to stock, but now to undertake a telemetric survey throughout the region to understand, throughout the watershed, to understand, better understand where the walleye population is. So it was very successful. So it's now moved on to understanding the fish population throughout the greater area. And then I live right along the St. Lawrence County multi-use trail. So I have a bird's eye view of the summertime ATV, UTV use, and now this winter I actually have some snow. The snow groomer actually came through last week, so there's actually been snowmobiles out the past couple weeks. I'm a member of a very loosely organized local little coalition of landowners along the trail that we haven't met recently, but we do discuss issues, and actually one of those people does serve on the Trails Advisory Board. And well, we had the holidays kind of interfere, but we'll get back in touch with each other to continue on that. And then also I'm working on understanding about carbon sequestration and conservation easements for my own land. Two things that I'm seriously contemplating enacting on my land. And then I spoke with Lucas just briefly, and we talked about collaborating on some kind of a EMC Earth Day activity, other than picking up trash along the highway. Not that that's not a good thing to do, but I thought maybe we could elevate, or in addition to that, do something that could potentially become a permanent part of the annual celebration of Earth Day that the EMC could be involved with.
Thank you.
There.
Thank you, Linda. She's very brave. Sam, did you talk to anybody else about it?
No.
Okay. So we want to have at least one member every month sort of do something like Linda did very well. So is there anyone who would volunteer to speak in February about their interests and just some things that they've been doing.
I'll do it.
All right, we decided we could have up to 2. So if anybody else would like to do it, let Sam or me know. And
When you say up to, you mean per meeting?
per meeting,
Oh.
yes. Everybody is going to have to do this. So if you get it done quick, then
You're off the hook.
then you're off the hook and you can just enjoy it for a year. So thank you very much, Brian. And also, if anybody has feedback about how much they enjoy this or if they think it's useful or whatever, that would be helpful too. And you can just text Sam or email Sam or me or somebody, and we'd really appreciate it, because we really, we all have different new ideas, and there's a lot of coverage in this county of different topics, and it's nice to know what other people are doing, because you might say, oh, I want to be part of the Earth Day thing, or yes, the multi-trail interests me too, something like that.
I'm willing to do March 19th.
Okay, March 19th, all right, we have a person for March. Okay. Which brings us back to our scheduling, which I actually forgot we were talking about another part of our meetings, and that is trying to have them in different parts of the county. And in the past, we have met at the Nature Center and at the Wanakina Ranger School. And we were thinking maybe a maximum of 2 meetings a year, unless we really got creative and organized. And so, does anybody have any feeling about that? It's really helpful to get around to different parts of the county and look at it. And right now, we're thinking that maybe the Ranger School would be a good place to start, because we have connections, and it wouldn't be like next month, it would be in the warm weather. So we wouldn't have to worry about, like snow and things like that. And it's, with longer days and nicer evenings, we can enjoy the outdoors a little too, maybe.
Let's have our picnic there
Oh yeah, we had great hiking.
in August.
That's another possibility. So anyway, does anyone have any more discussion about moving the meeting locations for maybe 2 months a year, and any suggestions as to where to move to have them?
I'd like to address that. I've been on the EMC for a number of years, and one of the things I pushed when I was an officer was meetings in other areas. And so Ogdensburg had wanted to do work on water quality, and we had a meeting in the auditorium in Ogdensburg. We were up in Messina, they did some work, and we had a meeting at the Visitors Center. We had a meeting in Black Lake where we talked about Black Lake Institute. Now, the meeting that we had in Ogdensburg probably had about 50 attendees. The one in Messina probably had about 60, 75 attendees. So there were a lot of people that were really interested because you're in their hometown. The other thing is, then these people become aware that you exist. I mean, you all come here to Canton, we have a meeting in this closed room, no windows, no one to peek in at what we're doing, and then we all go home. If you have a meeting on a hot topic in the place where it's happening, Black Lake and Reeds or whatever, the turnout's really good. I think it's good for the EMC, and I think it's good for the community to be aware. One of the things you wanted to do was have more members. Somebody would want to join to be a member if their hometown was being represented by our committee and meeting in their hometown so they could have a voice without having to drive to Canton from, say, Glacier Falls. So in that way, I would say I thought it was very successful. Did it for 4 or 5 years. We talked about having a meeting there's a Cornell biology station Cranberry Lake?
There is, but it's a boat ride.
Right.
I mean, some of us do have boats on the lake, but I don't think we have enough.
We talked to them and they said they would come out on the boat and pick us
Yeah,
up.
they do have a party boat.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that's just one of the ideas.
All right.
I know
That's good.
that Messina has a lot of work on the PCBs that were buried, and there's still some work there, and they'd be interested. So, like I said, I'd like to see that happen.
That sounds like a wonderful idea, but those 2 meetings then would be specifically about a certain topic, because we wouldn't want to have 75 people go through our agenda with us, right? As a
The
regular
meeting
business
itself,
meeting.
our meetings used to be from 6 to 7, we had a speaker, and from 7 to 8, we had the meeting, and that was it. At 8 o'clock, we ended. So when we read the same Messina, we started at 6, so from 6 to 7, we instead of having a speaker talk about the Ranger School, we talked about Messina, the prom wine there, and then the next hour was meeting. But it was between the constraints of 6 and 8. And that's when it began, that's when it ended. People really appreciated that.
We could change the format if we needed to, and just out of the top of my head, you know, we're having the hydrogen plant built there.
Sorry?
The hydrogen plant, and I don't think I know Messina a little better because I live there, but I don't think people know anything about it really, or even that it's there a lot. And so that's an interesting possibility to, you know, have maybe a speaker and then just have a really good business meeting at the end.
Well, also the population centers, Messina, Ogdensburg, you're going to get a better turnout than say having it in Brazier Falls or Flackville or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to get your name out there and you want to really hear what the people in that topic area are thinking, it's a great way to do it. My only caveat is I would recommend that you do it before the beginning of November and after April. You know, plan on like 1 or 2 meetings outside of Canton.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a logistical nightmare here. Who's gonna organize it?
Well, usually, John Ten he called up like the Ogdensburg school and said, can we have a meeting at the EMC at the Ogdensburg school on Tuesday the 23rd, whatever it happened to be. And you know, they said sure, whatever. They got the venue all set. We showed up, had our meeting, left, and that was it.
Well,
we got great.
Excuse me, Lance. I think that's all changed because we don't have time.
So
we now
from Messina,
we now have a very active e-board, and I think that if the e-board were to work on just say outlining the meeting, like saying, you know, we could ask members, what topic would you like to discuss, where would you like to meet, kind of thing, like the town, and then if the e-board decided, for example, we'll say the hydrogen thing again. We could either, I won't be on the board, but I would be certainly willing to help organize meetings like that. Because I know the nature center we could meet, I don't know the hours that the new Eisenhower Lock building would be open, but they have meeting rooms, I don't know how big they are, but they're looking to have people come in and have meetings. And there also is the Power Authority NIPA Visitor Center, and they have a very nice auditorium there. So, you know, we could do it, and it's, you know, we don't want the whole world there, but we also have to try to get someone to speak about it who is knowledgeable. And I don't think it's that hard to set up the place, but I think, you know, like probably Jason and Sam could help us on who could speak about the hydrogen plant, because that would, you have to get the speaker that is able to talk about it, and that's what they don't really know.
I read it in the paper tonight at Ogdensburg, once that is talking about a water zone, and they have the water quality problem, and they're also talking about this zone along the St. Mark's River.
Well, why don't we just sort of do it a general thing now and not get in the weeds? And anyone who has an idea of a place for a meeting and a topic that is very pertinent to that place, then why don't we contact Sam, or you can contact me with that information, and then we'll, I think the e-board could listen to what came in and make suggestions to the rest of the board and things like that. So, like I said, our e-board is really, really doing well now. We get together every month. We put together the agenda with Sam, and we talk about a lot of things, and I think that that's very important to continue, because it gives us one other little meeting. We don't really decide anything, we just sort of decide what we're gonna bring and what we think we should focus on. And we're always ready to hear from anybody else. But I think it's good to have a little filter there and to have a gathering point for information. So anyway, does anybody else have a suggestion of place or topic or anything?
I have a suggestion of place, and it seems that they're quite underrepresented in this group for as long as I've been, and that is the whole Governor Edwards Fowler area seems to be a black hole that we don't ever seem to have any interaction with. I don't know, Nicole, maybe you could help with a colleague from the Board of Legislators that could perhaps raise the idea of EMC meeting in their area, or at least have a listening session in their area. What do you think about that?
Can you say that again? I just got kicked off the meeting and came back on.
Okay. Now, my question was, one of the areas that seems to be that we never talk about or hear about is the whole Governor, Fowler, Edwards, even Pitcairn area of the county. And so I thought that when we're trying to schedule maybe a session or maybe a listening session, but I don't know who to talk to for that area. Do you have a colleague from that area that might help us?
Certainly, I could ask for our February meeting, or if there'd be a different meeting time that would be better. I can certainly ask the legislative representative from that district to join us, and with the caveat that you'd like to hear some environmental issues, concerns, what's going on in that area.
Yeah, I mean,
is that what you were thinking?
Talk about them, and it's a pretty big area.
It is. So it actually is an overlap of 2 legislators, but I can certainly ask them to kind of work together.
Great.
I think 2 topics from that area that would get a lot of interest. Jeffrey Steel is making all the steel for the Buffalo Bills Stadium. So I think that's really an incredible thing for the governor to be producing all the steel for the building of the Buffalo Bills Stadium.
It's CV Steel.
I'm sorry?
Like CV Steel, not Jeffers.
Civics, right, I'm sorry. And the other thing is, I'm not sure where it is written now, but just a while ago, some of the mines opened that had been closed, the town mines, whatever, that had been closed. And I'm sure that people in the area would be really interested in that also. So, and to have their views, to talk about ideas.
Just to make sure I have this right, Governor, Pitcairn, Clifton, and Fine, were those the ones that you had mentioned?
No, I mentioned Governor, Edwards, Fowler, and it's sort of over in that area, a little bit to the south is Pitcairn.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So we are asking Nicole to have these people attend our next meeting?
Not necessarily. I just thought if she could have a discussion, so that we find out are there environmental issues that they would like to discuss with us,
Right.
Is it, you know,
Right,
that's
and-
what I'm getting at.
Yeah, because we want to try to involve that part of the county more, but if we need more information before we can actually try to do that.
I will bring that report in February.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, anybody else have any ideas on place and topic?
I'd be interested in, I'm from Augsburg, of course, and I'd be interested, I got a lot of stuff on our plate over there, going on, environmental and then also the river. If I can get something together maybe and think of some ideas, I got some I've already jabbing around in my head, and get with Sam, maybe we could set something up there in Augsburg.
Well, right now, we're
Center or
just
something.
getting
I know,
ideas
but I
and
mean,
yeah,
you know, in
but
the future,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And anybody else who has an idea that they don't bring up tonight can always bring it up.
So I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I have contacts at SUNY Potsdam at the Wagner Institute of Sustainability and Ecological Learning or Research. They have a lovely little room there in the biology department. And if you want sort of a, you know, we've had speakers like Glenn Johnson. He's currently the head of the biology department there. And if you're curious to kind of just get an idea of what young people think about various environmental issues, that would be a fantastic place. Because college students typically don't have cars. So if they can't walk to the meeting, they won't go.
Good point. Okay. Why don't you put that in a little email thing, everyone who's spoken up, and send that to Sam, and he'll collect them. And
Miles getting big on this.
yeah, he's gonna have a long thing, but we'll help him, D-board will help. Okay, do we need to vote that we want to have the meeting location in 2 places, or can we just come to consensus that we're gonna work on that? All right, great. Next is comments from the public. Are any of, we have the Department of Environmental Conservation later. Is there anyone that would like to just comment? I don't think we have any public here. Okay, good. Nicole, you're up next. Nicole's going to give us the Board of Legislators report.
So the only items I had were the things that were mentioned in Sam's work reports from November and December, as well as the greenhouse project. That project I've mentioned a while back. It was probably, 3 years ago when we first talked about the possibility of that. The work kind of stopped at that point. I think it was a bit of a business plan that needed a little bit of work moving forward. So hopefully that will get going. They're promising quite a few jobs. So that would be great to see that going. And then the restocking that Linda had mentioned, I think there are some mixed feelings about the ending of those restocking efforts from some of the members that have been involved for a very long time. While they're super excited that their efforts have been so well received and they've been able to keep the population of walleye up, I think that there is concern about that population sustaining itself without those annual efforts of harvesting the fry and sending them in. So I know that there's some mixed feelings on that. So I just thought I'd add that in. And that's all I had.
Does anyone have any questions for Nicole? All right, thank you very much. Now we have the report of the environmental conservation. Randy, do you have anything you want to specifically share with us?
Yep, there had been some questions about the weed harvesting at Hubleton and the grants there. So SLU was using a grant from DEC for hiring a harvester to cut the tops off the water chestnut before it could reproduce. And the town of Oswegatchie actually used funds from DEC to purchase their own harvester. They got that on site. They're very happy with it. They've reported that they have about a 40-acre infestation there, primary infestation, and last year they were able to remove about 90% of it. And the objective is to continue doing that and essentially wear it down over time. It sounded like the prognosis is pretty good that they will hopefully be able to get that under control with those efforts. There was a report of an infestation at the outlet of Black Lake, but again, I think SLC Prism thinks that with what they have now, they should be able to get that under control. They're exploring ideas of using the weeds that are harvested to essentially return it to the land, get the nutrients, the phosphorus and the nitrogen out of the plants and back up onto the land, hopefully in an agricultural area where the nutrients could be needed. That's on the water chestnut. Not sure. We did, the hydrogen plant was mentioned. We've issued the speedies permit for the facility, and they have their stormwater construction permit. I believe that's the big thing in Messina. Are there any questions about other topics?
Randy, the device that Oswegatchie got was called an echo puller rather than a cutter.
Correct.
It actually pulls the roots out.
That's correct, yeah. And that will, in conjunction with cutting the plants before they can reproduce, the pulling of the roots is also helpful because you don't have to worry about them coming back up, because it regrows like your lawn if you just cut the tops off. And cutting the tops improves navigability, but it again, the plants regrow.
That's all downstream from the dam, right?
Yes, I believe so.
There's a large infestation of water chestnut above the dam.
It's about, I think that's about 40 acres.
Randy, I have a question about, Linda had raised earlier in our discussions, the BTI program for black flies. Does DEC regulate those BTI applications?
Yes, they have to have an aquatic pesticide applicator permit for those.
Now,
so
as far as I know,
they're working on them right now, as a matter of fact. Go ahead.
Now, as far as I know, the BTI program is just a black fly control issue, right? It doesn't regulate mosquitoes?
No, that's correct. It's just black fly.
And does the state of New York provide funding for BTI control?
That I don't know. I'll have to write that down and find out.
Thank you.
Does the DEC do anything for mosquito monitoring?
There's mosquito monitoring. DEC does not do that. That's a Department of Health, and there are sites monitored across the state. And depending on when there are outbreaks and where they are, there can be enhanced monitoring.
Randy, has the values on the PFAS analysis of those three wastewater treatment plants been done?
We haven't received the information yet. I heard today from our materials management engineer that she's not yet received the data.
Do you have anything you would like us to do for you?
Oh, that's a good question. No, other than, keep your ears out for things that people are concerned about and let us know. I should also add, Deer River came up a little bit earlier. Our water engineers met with the facilities wastewater treatment plant operator and the company's engineers to discuss what they're doing for their wastewater treatment plant and the new permit that's being worked on. So that was a productive discussion so they can understand what the new targets are going to be for their permit, most likely, and what they need to look at in their sludge primarily to make sure that they have optimized the operation of the plant.
And that's the Greek yogurt plant, right?
Yep.
Okay, North Country Dairy.
Okay, any more questions?
So, I don't know did Jayla want to speak about anything?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next. Yeah. If no one has more questions for Randy, then Jayla, do you have anything you'd like to add to the discussion tonight?
Not in particular. I'll just mention that I will be working with the town of Hewelton, the town of Osagachi, and the Black Lake Association on the water chestnut issues. I'll be working with them with their harvesting crew. I'll have a crew of 2 people out, and we will be hand pulling what the harvester can't get close to the riverbed or close to the river's edge. In places where there are a lot of logs and such, places where the harvester can't get in, we're going to try hand pulling there this year. And then I'll also be working with Wilson Hill Wildlife Management Area Managers on Phragmites and water chestnut control.
Do they have water chestnuts at Wilson Hill?
Yes.
They do. Oh dear. And where are you based, Kayla?
I'm based out of Brownville, New York, about 20 minutes from Watertown.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any question for Kayla? All right. Well, thank you both very much for coming. We really look forward to, the information that you give us. The next thing on our list is unfinished business, and I think in November, Nicole mentioned the National Marine Sanctuary that is going to be first freshwater one in the country and will include parts of Lake Ontario, I guess. I'm not sure how much, but not all the way down here. And so she had some questions, and Sam was asking for information, and it turns out Jason has done a lot of research on it. So he's going to bring us up to date with the Marine Sanctuary.
Thanks, Sue, and thanks, Nicole. Please chime in anytime you have any other information, and I know you're heavily involved with the discussion, I guess about 4 years ago now, 3.5 years ago, when the County Board of Legislators discussed their involvement with the Marine Sanctuary. So just I'm not sure the detail that was gone into back in November, but I can give you just a snapshot of what the Marine Sanctuary is and its location. The one in Lake Ontario, it's officially called the Lake Ontario National Marine Sanctuary, and it's the 16th of its kind. They're all over the United States, 16 all over the United States. There are some other freshwater ones. There is one in Wisconsin and in Michigan. Alpena, Michigan, and Thunder Bay, not Ontario, Thunder Bay is the one in Lake Superior, yeah. So there are several around. The one in Lake Ontario consumes about 1,700 square miles, so it's quite large. It's actually about the size of the county, St. Lawrence County. And it starts in Wayne County, and if you can picture the Lake Ontario from a little bit east of Rochester, and basically a large swath of the lake, the whole lake to the Ontario border, all the way up to Cape Vincent. That's the footprint of the Lake Ontario Marine Sanctuary. It was quite an effort. It was about a 7-year process to get the certification as a marine sanctuary. Work started back in 2017, and it was officially, I guess, acknowledged or officially sanctioned as a marine sanctuary in June of 2024. So the involvement that the county had was pretty extensive from about 2020 through 2021. Staff in the planning office, primarily it was me, but there were some other staff involved as well, had several conversations with NOAA, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. They're the ones that the federal agency that develops these sanctuaries. Worked with representative from that organization. Worked with the administrator from the Oswego County, who was very engaged in the process and very keen to see it move forward. So we prepared quite a bit of background information for the County Board of Legislators, with the intent that they would move forward and look to ask for the footprint of the sanctuary to be extended. There were two options at the time. One was just the footprint in Lake Ontario. Ultimately, the one that was selected. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Sam. The one that was that's the one. That's the actual one. That was option one, or option two actually. Option one continued up the St. Lawrence to the town of Hammond, Chippewa Bay in the town of Hammond was the second option. And so the county was encouraged to offer a resolution in support of the second option, or the first option, to include that portion of the St. Lawrence River that had some shoreline in St. Lawrence County. There was several meetings where the project was debated, and there was a proposed resolution to request that the sanctuary actually be increased in size all the way up the St. Lawrence in St. Lawrence County to Messina, to cover all of the municipalities that border the St. Lawrence in St. Lawrence County. And so that was debated in July of 2021, and there was some concern was raised by the Board of Legislators with regard to impacts on the river, primarily the fact that there might be some restrictions that could be added from the federal side on the river that could impact either recreational boating, recreational fishing, concern that there would be more attention given to some of the shipwrecks in the river, which is in part what the sanctuary would certainly protect, but not the concern was, in my opinion, unfounded from what we were assured by the federal agencies and also by other entities that were participating in this. So it was, again, as I said, debated on the floor of the Board of Legislators, and it was defeated. The resolution to support the marine sanctuary was defeated. I'll read you the title of the resolution and tell you how it shook out. So it was The resolution was entitled Endorsing the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Proposed Lake Ontario National Marine Sanctuary Boundary Alternative 1 and requesting that it be extended downriver to the Moses Saunders Dam. So that came before a finance committee in July of 2021, and then it was tabled for further discussion at the full board meeting, which was a week later, August 2nd of 2021, where it was debated again and ultimately was defeated by the Board of Legislators. So what that meant was that, or the takeaway, I guess, was that at that time, the board was not interested in pursuing or being supportive of the marine sanctuary. And marine sanctuary was, okay, that's fine, it happened, right? It still happened. And even if the county resolution had passed, does not mean that this map would look any different. It could still, there were two alternatives on the table. One alternative, it very unlikely that they would have actually extended it all the way to Messina because of all the work that had been done from 2017 up to 2021 was all based on the other footprint. There was not a lot of input in the other jurisdiction. So at best, it could have included the St. Lawrence up to Chippewa Bay, but even again with a glowing endorsement from the county, it may not have been. This decision was made at the federal level, and so ultimately the sanctuary that it was formally adopted in June of last year is what we have now. And just from the research that I did back in 2021 and the protracted process, I guess, that would have to be gone through to add additional portion of the river to the sanctuary, I think it would be an extremely challenging task if it was to be pursued. And I think the first thing that would have to happen would be an endorsement of the County Board of Legislators before we would really have any traction to move forward to look to get it expanded all the way up to Messina. So I don't know, comments from the floor here, or Nicole, if you want to weigh in. I'm not sure exactly where the discussion wants to go from here, but
thank you, Jason, for the succinct, very good summary of what the resolution when it came forward. I had brought this to EMC after when Rita had brought forward the resolution from Oswego County supporting the marine sanctuary and asking the Board of Legislators to reconsider as part of old and new business. As I had mentioned to Sam, there'd been no discussion since then, but I had brought it to EMC, so I'm glad that you were able to speak to it. If it's something that the EMC would like to consider asking the board to reconsider, that's something we can certainly bring forward. I know that there are some legislators, probably the same 2 or 3 that voted for it to begin with, that were certainly supportive of it. So I guess this is one of these things, oftentimes we ask, what does the Board of Legislators want to see from us, or what can we do to support them? And so this was just something I had brought to your attention in case it was something that you wanted to consider advocating for.
Jason, what's the main thrust of the marine sanctuary? I mean, I understand it protects certain shipwreck sites, but from a regulatory standpoint, what's the main thing that it does?
Great question, Neil. It's sort of obscure in that regard. I really, because everything you see is very it's very clear that we're not controlling shipping. We're not controlling commercial fishing operations. We're not controlling this. We're not controlling that. Well, then what is the purpose of it? I view it more as as an area that is a promotional area, almost as an economic engine for the area, another promotional tool for the area. It's a huge area, a huge body of water. So, are there similarities between Cape Vincent and parts of Wayne County? I'm sure there are, the shoreline similarities, but the examples that I remember from other sanctuaries up in Alpena in Michigan and Monterey Bay in California, is another one, was just the idea that there were interpretive centers that would help promote the not so much the shoreline, but the underwater, the aquatic
history
life.
and yes, the history and the
yeah,
fishery.
thank you, Nicole. Yeah, and the shipwrecks, I think, is a big component of it. There are a number, I'm not sure, 40 or so shipwrecks in this Lake Ontario sanctuary, and that is a big component of it. And then there is, I think, talk in Oswego County of building an interpretive center to promote that. So, but from the regulatory side, I think that there, if I remember correctly, there was something to the effect of controlling the dive sites a little more can't think of the right word, but to have it more controlled, so that there isn't just you're not just dropping anchor anywhere. There are specific mooring sites at the dive sites to protect them, so yeah, I think the protecting the dive sites, promoting the underwater life, the history of the area, and those are the sort of the key components.
So they really, from a scary standpoint, right?
Yeah.
It's not a zoning statute. It's not a land use, water use regulatory statute.
Nothing that I could find really, and that's why I was sort of surprised at the action of the board, because it really didn't rise to the level of concern that you would usually have with other land use issues. I think the impetus or the concern came out of a document from Monterey Bay about how there were some negative impacts on the fishing industry, the commercial fishing industry, as a result of this. But those were discounted by other reports, so we couldn't really substantiate this one article that was negative. So that was sort of the, I guess, the reason in St. Lawrence County anyway, why there wasn't the support for it.
So even though it's a sanctuary, it isn't necessarily a sanctuary for fish, like they could still have all the fishing tournaments and
Yes.
all those kind of things?
Yep. There.
And the level of the river could still be controlled?
That would, absolutely, yeah, that,
Yeah.
the IJC would still have control over the water levels, yeah.
There are restrictions and zonings on marine sanctuaries.
Yeah.
We have scattered around our coastline, right? They're there, there's nothing here. There's one fundamental thing that probably drove that decision, and it was in Nicole's notes in the minutes. St. Lawrence County having jurisdiction over the St. Lawrence River. No. The river is an international boundary. It is totally controlled by the U.S. government. Right? You do not own the water. You can do what you want and zone what you want along the shoreline as long as it meets various criteria. But you do not own the water. And this has happened several times in discussions in the county, like Black Lake, right? Some of those people that showed up at some of our our open sessions about the management plan was our lake. No, it's not your lake. Right? You may own the land around the lake, you may zone the land around the lake, you do not own the water in Black Lake.
Mhm.
And that was in Nicole's notes that she stated.
Right.
It was, you do not want to lose jurisdiction over the St. Lawrence River. You don't have any.
So it sounds like it would be a lot of work to try to expand the boundary, and no one wants to really do that unless the Board of Legislators endorsed it anyway. So should there be an effort to, I mean, it sounds like if it was pitched as an economic engine, such as you described, and there must be some benefits like grants or funding.
I don't know, so just like open up any doors, any federal funding that are designated.
Yeah, that's a great comment. And there is some funding that can be associated with it for things like interpretive centers and I think research, aquatic research functions. But that is, I think some additional research should be done on the success rate of those grants from other freshwater sanctuaries, just to see what, you know, how those have played out. So yeah, that's something that I did fail to mention, the funding.
Where did the Chamber of Commerce come in on this?
I don't know, Brian. I don't know if they had an official opinion. I do not recall them weighing in one way or the other.
And where is Jefferson County with this? Because they aren't going to skip Jefferson County.
No. Well, and Jefferson
Okay.
County does have some involvement because of I guess the southwestern portion of Jefferson County is already involved with it. So,
But are they in favor of extending it up through the river and Thousand Islands and all that?
I believe they were in 2021. So yeah. I think
So there would be support up to the edge of St. Lawrence County technically.
correct.
In theory, that could be
Would be
a great
wonderful.
topic to have a meeting up in Ogdensburg about this at some point.
Or even interesting.
I'm listening.
Does NIPA have any, they wouldn't have any real input because it would just, but they have all the dams in the way, so. Yeah.
I really think, I can only go back to the research that I did 3 or 4 years ago. Advancing it beyond Chippewa Bay was strictly a St. Lawrence County initiative. That was never in any of the debate, any of the discussion, any of the input that NOAA put into, or that the development team for the sanctuary had never articulated the interest in coming this far up. So that doesn't mean that they couldn't be convinced. It just means that it would be a pretty tall task, I would think.
Are the most of the shipwrecks in the lower reach?
Yes,
upper
there
reach
are.
of the St. Lawrence as
I
opposed
think
to-
there are 2 in St. Lawrence County that would come. I think there's one in Chippewa Bay, and then there's another one further up. So I think
From
that,
there to Messina,
yeah,
there's none?
there's one.
There's one?
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
they
that's-
have one in Ogden? No. Oh, it's
I can tell you that in the area that's highlighted up there in gray, on that eastern shore of Lake Ontario, there's a lot of shipwrecks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know 3 of them in the Henderson Harbor area that were big deals, you know?
there's a map in this here that actually has all the shipwrecks noted.
So who do you talk to if you did want to expand it? Would it be NOAA?
Yeah, I think we'd have to go back. We could go back to the woman that we were dealing with at NOAA before. Her name was Ellen Brody. I'm not sure if she's still there, but I think she might be the first point of contact. But again, I would just caution that, sure, we can do a little background research, but I think you really, because of the, I don't know, Nicole, I may be over or exaggerating a bit here, but this was somewhat volatile 4 years ago. And I think you really would want to get buy-in from the board before you did any more research, because if the board is not interested, then it's not going to, NOAA is not going to do something that the county is not behind.
I think say most of the ones that failed are ones that didn't have public support. So one of the key factors would be having the county be interested and towns along there be interested. Not with us being interested.
It would be a huge job.
Be a huge job.
Yeah. Nicole, have all your questions been answered? Do you have any more for, good.
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Sure, yep.
In case anyone's interested, here's all the shipwrecks. Oh, you can't really see it.
It's all there on
It's on the document. I can send the link to the document.
Oh, great, thank you.
Looks like there's actually, there's two in St. Lawrence County, at least in this proposed.
That's plan one. That's what it should look.
So Jason, I just had a clarification here. You're coming to us, the town talks about this.
Mm-hmm.
What are like the two choices that we have to make, or how are we moving on this? I'm not clear what's being asked.
Way to hit the nail on the head, Lance.
Yeah, I think we're just getting information because Nicole had some questions at the November meeting. And so we're bringing ourselves up to speed a little bit to know, to answer her questions, and also to just, the whole board will know what the situation is.
So if I understand
probably
this correctly,
not gonna do anything.
Jefferson County Board of Legislators did support this, and now part of the area touches on Jefferson County?
Yes.
Correct.
Then, is the state also have to approve this or whatever?
The governor did approve it when it was
The
initially.
governor or the?
The governor did initially when it was set forth, which was like
So
years ago.
would it benefit, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're-
Would it be beneficial for you to contact Jefferson County Planning Office or Board of Legislators and ask them what their position is today and why they chose that position and send it to us in the next meeting? Or would that not helpful?
Well, I think, I know, Nicole, you had a comment.
Well, I was just going to say, so again, just how this came to your attention. I brought it to your attention because after NISAC conference, the legislators that attend NISAC, they actually talk about the resolutions that are passed at the NISAC convention that pertain to St. Lawrence County, or that could possibly pertain to St. Lawrence County. So Rita had brought up as part of old and new business, the resolution that was passed supporting the marine sanctuary. and had brought it up under old new business. Typically when that happens, we don't discuss it. It's just a time to share those items. So she had shared them. We had a meeting, an EMC meeting shortly after. So in anticipation that there may be some more discussion about it, or it might be brought forward, I had asked the EMC members what your thoughts were on it, just so I had information to bring back to a discussion with the Board of Legislators should it occur. As I mentioned, it has not come back up again. And that was in November. So this is our first meeting since then, but it has not been brought up by the Board of Legislators again. I don't know if that helps, but that's just that's how we got here, I guess. So I don't know that
Nicole.
action is needed.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Jason suggested the first line is no. Is no any interested in it?
Right.
And also get a feel of the Board of Legislators. As far as we are concerned, I think once it's put out that it's a possibility, we would take and make a resolution recommending that the board take and approve the extension of it.
May I speak to this a little bit? So I was doing a little research before I realized that Jason already did a ton of research beforehand. And so there is the hypothetical possibility that you can redraw the boundary, right? But the process to do the redrawing the boundary is almost equivalent of starting from scratch. Like you almost would have to go through the nomination process. And it was very weird language, which wasn't entirely clear because I don't know if they redraw boundaries very often on like at least a large scale. So I think the idea is that it would be such a really like 5-year process with public hearings and lots of research and things I'm not entirely sure that we should, I'm going to speak from my opinion here, something that we should necessarily get our hands involved in because it's like a momentous task, and I think Jason already spent hours and hours and hours of work that's already been voted down, and it's not like the Board of Legislators is like actively saying that they want to do this again. So I don't know if I should say my opinion, but I would say that we probably shouldn't really get too far involved in that.
Yeah, now if the Board of Legislators brings it up again and Nicole comes back to us, then of course we can get involved.
Yeah.
And this is like an information center session so that we know what we know now, which we didn't know when we walked in the door, so that if the Board of Legislators does come back, we have some idea where to start from. So we're not being asked to do anything. We're just listening, we're learning, and if the Board of Legislators comes back to us, then we're at a higher level of knowledge. So we're just,
Really sounds to me like this, in this sanctuary designation process, would be something that would enhance tourism along the river, not, so if the tourism community along the St. Lawrence River in our county thought this was a great idea, then, I really don't see a strong role for EMC here, This is, I think, the Marine Sanctuary was to preserve certain sites so that there could be education, interpretation, and interpretation facilities along the river so the public could learn about, the wrecks and travel along the river. But I just don't see this as a zoning issue.
That's why I asked Jason where the Chamber of Commerce stood in this. Because they're the representative of the tourism industry.
So it seems to me that if we can just gather information, like gather information from the Jefferson County Board of Legislators, I don't know if you get the information from like the state assembly or the congressional district, but just get the information to our committee. But don't make any recommendations to the Board of Legislators. So if the Board of Legislators does ask us, we can merely say, look, we have a background on this. This is what this group thinks, this is what this group thinks, and this is what this group thinks. If the Board of Legislators doesn't ask us anything, we just hold on to that information. That to me seems to be politically the best route to take.
I think that Jason's brought us up to a good level now, and unless they come back to us, I don't think that we need to do any more active research unless you would like to personally do that because, you know, that's something you're very interested in.
I'm just thinking, you know,
Yeah.
if we have a statement from the board of legislators of Jefferson County or somebody with the head of it or whatever, it makes it look to the board of legislators that we are that, you know, constantly gleaning information and we can answer their question. But we're not answering the question yes, no, we're answering the question, this is what we found out, so you don't have to take these steps.
But we sort of, yeah, but I think at this point, we're good. And we'll just, you know, we'll keep it in our memory banks and remember, you know, where we are and what happened in the past, and then we're ready to take it the next step if we need to.
Remember Donald Trump has said that he wants to get rid of them.
Yeah, right, so we may have to work on trying to preserve what we have more than trying to expand what we don't have. So we need to pick and choose our focus. Yeah. Okay, moving on, I'm going to pass new business over to Sam because it's sort of talking about different meetings and things like that.
Yeah, and I probably lump A and B into one kind of little talk. So these are just events that are coming up. Sustainability Day is, I think it kind of got started with the associated colleges would host a Sustainability Day, and then the community members were also doing a Green Living Fair, and they decided to combine them. So this year it's scheduled for Saturday, March 29th. You had SUNY Canton?
It's in a SUNY Canton.
It is a SUNY Canton. Last time, so they need to switch it between fall and spring, so it's like 1.5 year kind of schedule. So last time I was there representing EMC as like a little table just for recruitment and education. So I wasn't sure if we wanted to do something. And I can't remember, we mentioned something at the E-board. You mentioned something, Sue, at the E-board meeting, if something that we could do. Maybe it was just getting names and like the directory or something.
Yeah, I suggest
that.
Yeah, right, right.
Basically,
Of all the groups
we come up with a simple one-page form, and when if there are a whole bunch of environmental organizations there, and very, very few of our database is very small, that we could take and glean some of this information that we talked about earlier when we redid our bylaws about connectivity, and that's what I think that's what we had at the E-board.
Yeah, we were thinking it would be an opportunity to get to know other environmentally interested groups and get their information, and you know, we want to have this directory clearinghouse so that we can have a lot of information in one place. This would be a good place to start and see how, you know, it works out. And it also, I mean, it is in Canton, and there may be students from Governor and, you know, Fowler and other places, or even just people coming that we might, you know, have a table that talks about the EMC and, you know, what we do, and we need members down in that part of the county kind of thing. So it might be a good place for us to.
Does anybody know, where is the St. Lawrence County Fair? Is it in Governor's?
Yes.
Yeah. That might be an opportunity for us to table at the St. Lawrence County Fair.
Yeah, just briefly.
Yeah, that's normally in August, right?
Yeah,
Yes, first week of August.
Yeah, end of July, beginning of August, yeah.
I don't know if anyone wants to participate in the Sustainability Day, because I don't know if like people are already going to participate. I'm thinking college people, but it'd be great if it wasn't just me alone.
I can help.
Yeah.
I can help out.
Yeah.
And then we also don't have to be there at all, but yeah. And then the other thing that's coming up is so the Sustainability Committee of Canton is working, or at least some folks from there are working on something called a repair fair, and I think they reserved the pavilion Bend in the River in Canton. And they want to turn into an event that like encourages people to divert things from the waste stream by repairing those items. And they are actively looking for volunteers who might have some sort of skill or interest in repairing something. So if someone has like any experience with like bikes and might be able to like navigate people through bike repair, or if they have any skills with like sewing, how to like patch clothes, things like that. So I just mentioned to them that I'd be willing to advertise it. So telling you all that it exists, and if anyone wants to participate or have any skills that they want to sign up.
How do you sign up?
There's an email, and I can give that email. I think it's sustaincantonny@gmail.com, but I'll get that exact email.
Is that right, Mike? What he said? Pardon me? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
You're on the committee, right?
I am. It's basically two members of that committee that came up with the idea. It's very sketchy, that Sam pretty much gave all the information that I know. I mean,
So you find it sketchy, as in like it's...
Well, where I'm from, Oak Park, Illinois, they have a repair cafe, but it's every other Saturday. It's a group of locals that repair TV sets, radios, bikes, of that nature. You drop them off, you come back like in 2 weeks. And I kept on telling them, you know, people cannot make immediate repairs when there's a line of people with broken stuff.
Right.
They didn't listen, so it's a one-day event, they'll learn, and maybe it'll be successful in its own way. But I don't get where you're supposed to come back and pick up repaired items, and I had a lot of questions, so that's for them to figure out.
I had some questions about it. Mostly, I was thinking that it'd be more useful if it was like just a group of people that were interested in repairs, so that when you came across something that you didn't know how to repair, you could reach out to them and be like, can you help? Like, I'm interested in bikes. I'm not expecting you to fix my bike, but maybe you could help me brainstorm this problem. I don't know, as opposed to like a one-day affair.
And maybe there's other examples around the area that I'm not aware of, but they were kind of coming up with it without really fleshing it out. They got the Canton Pavilion.
They did get, I think they got sponsored by Coakley's, so.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We'll see. Anyway, so I'll send out the email, and if anyone wants to participate or just go, I didn't tell them that I would advertise it. The next thing is I did come up with a draft yearly report. So in the, I was looking in our bylaws, I couldn't find it in our bylaws, but in the actual enabling resolution, I think the county resolution did express submitting to the Board of Legislators once a year, a yearly report. I don't expect us to really go through it today, but I just wanted to give it to people and then feedback, comments, and then maybe we can talk about it next meeting.
It's actually a requirement of Article 47 of the
Article 47.
An annual report.
So then I don't think we did one last year, so I'm trying to get better at getting that done. So
Decades.
When is,
I was looking at trying to look in our files. I'm like, can I see an example of one? And I found some that were from the county planning board, but not the EMC.
Sam, when would be a good time for us to get our comments back to you, like within the next month?
Yeah, I would say.
I don't know if we've got it. Do you have a time when you'd like to submit this to the DOL?
I think it would be good for us to get a chance to read it and then meet again, and then maybe we can give it to Nicole with like the kind of formal what we think is good to include. I tried to include information that we had at our e-board meeting. I did realize I already thought of something with the resolution about the fisheries that got passed last year that I should include. But yeah, I think we should include.
Are the minutes up to date on the website?
I can check in. Lisa normally is the one that does it. She is really normally good at it. The last couple of months she had a family emergency, so she was out of the office, so I can check in on that.
That's what we're, as long as they're, everybody can review them and come up with items for the annual report.
I think the minutes are up to date because I went through and read all the old minutes.
So Lisa's really on top of that sort of
I think
thing,
we're
so.
all there, including from.
That's good.
Oh,
Good. As long as they don't dump them again. They did that once. They just eliminated them all.
It did say the Google Drive was very close to being full
Our Google Drive?
though. Yes, I looked at it today.
So we actually transitioned Google Drives through the county. I'll check into that, but I'd be very surprised because it's like a lot of data that we have available. But I'll check.
Just really quickly, for the Sustainability Day table, EMC table, we have maybe a handful of project descriptions of maybe some stuff that's going on around the county that just for information for passersby to see that, we talk about this topic and.
Well, our annual report.
Yeah, I would love to have material for us to have, because last time I think I just pulled out a map of the county and it has some random material on invasive species.
Right, that's what, just have something
more, very
more of a
concrete.
display
Yeah.
that gave some examples of topics and projects that are happening in the county that people might not otherwise know about.
Something you want to help me with, Linda?
Sure.
And then I guess, we're at this point now that we still have these like ongoing projects, but we are in this kind of, we could think about new projects, so if anyone has ideas of things that they want to pursue. We already have some that are kind of in the works. There's Sustainability Day, potentially this repair fair, which I'm not sure with what Mike just said, how much we want to dedicate to that, but
So there's
Earth Day, yeah.
Earth Week.
Earth Week.
There's Arbor Day and Earth Day, but fall in the same week.
I guess I should also, I don't know if I told people, but Laurel, my wife, is pregnant, so I also, I'm not sure how much, April might be a very busy time for me. Especially Earth Day week might be, I might tap out of Earth Day week this week, or this year.
Sam will be taking some time off around the, anywhere, from the middle of April to?
Yeah, it's April 26th is the due date.
Yeah, so we will beg your indulgence with his absence. Other staff will certainly pitch in, but I know he's.
There'll be pictures all over.
Yeah.
Right.
And even if I'm like still around, I just maybe distracted.
It's okay.
Tired.
You'd be tired.
Yeah, right.
Tired.
You'll be sleeping at your desk.
Yeah.
Okay, we had another item added to new business, and that was the trees on the St. Lawrence County property that we just talked about.
Right, now, this is not a critical thing, so I could, move this to the next meeting if you'd rather I did it, but,
Well-
we'll talk about it now.
I'm assuming you're giving us an update on things you've talked about in the past, like planting trees and stuff?
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, so if you just give us a quick little blurb.
When the county built the new addition where the new courthouse is, they did a beautiful job. They had a landscape architect who and planted a lot of trees. The little island around the parking lot, so you plant, park under the tree or whatever, and it's very nice. All of those plantings have been cut down by the county. There's not a single one of those original plantings that remain. So I took it upon myself like about 10 years ago to kind of replant trees around the county property. In that parking lot, on the island, several of the sheriffs donated money to buy trees. The Canton Rotary Club donated money and bought trees. The Mike McCormick, who was head of grounds at the county, donated money to plant some trees in their group. of the Secretary of State. Am I boring you? Oh, okay. Planted a tree, so we planted the entire area. In the last, say, 10 years, or in the last 5 years, I planted probably 75 trees in that area. Two of the trees that I'm one of the trees now, that I'm most proud of is by the bus station. If you ever go by the social services building, there's beautiful 2 white flowering crabapple trees that people come and take pictures of, and they're just known all over as being spectacular trees. Of the probably 70 trees that I planted, and the county legislators out of their own pocket paid to have those trees, planted. Of those, about 70 or so trees, between 70 and 90 trees, the county has cut down about 40. And they cut them down for like no reason. The tree wasn't dead, they just cut them all down. So what I'm asking is not for a resolution or a motion, but just to work with Jason and Nicole if I could. I talked to the operations manager, Denise's chair, and I talked to him and he said, maybe we could set something up, but I'd like to go to the county and say, Canton Village, I'm on the tree committee of the Canton Village also, is trying to beautify Canton by planting trees around the parking lots and throughout the village. And we've done that. And the only 2 or 3 places that are actually negative, and the biggest negative is the county, because they're cutting down all the trees. So what I'm asking for is only if I work with Jason or work with Nicole or go to the operations office to say the EMC is in favor of replacing the trees. As far as I know, there isn't a single tree that's cut down in this place. So that's what I'm asking for is if you'd be willing to say yes, EMC stands behind the idea of replacing the trees.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Who is cutting them down?
What?
Who is cutting them down?
Building and grounds.
Building and grounds, and have you spoken with them to find out why
I
they're
have
cutting
spoken
them?
to building and grounds. It's kind of a challenge in the last 2 years because they're all quitting quicker than I can ask them to harass them. So I can ask them one time, but then the next time there's a new guy. And it's been kind of I live next to the courthouse. So I feel like I need to run down and make sure the same guy is there that I talked to yesterday.
Lance, isn't there that area you're speaking of and a whole bunch more of the surrounding area was heavily flooded was heavily flooded in August. There was major flooding there on Judson Street and around the county. You're not talking about the county courthouse area?
Flooded?
Well, by the jail, old jail, and so isn't
okay.
there a committee now, I've read in the news, that has got a group of people got together to address stormwater runoff in Canton Village?
There's a plan.
Right.
What
I
group
could share that with you.
That was
Well,
on
I'm
the
just
corner.
thinking that would tie in, because if the whole idea is there's too much pavement, and if maybe in a part of a bigger plan with more trees to be planted would be incorporated as a part of a greater plan to add more vegetation and stormwater.
In front of the jail, in kind of the area you're talking about, I planted roughly 30 trees. And with the flood, none of those trees died.
Well, I'm just saying that it's a great idea to plant trees wherever, but that it could be part of a bigger
Right, but what I'm saying
project.
is, there's a healthy tree, and they cut it down.
Well, I think we need to do a little more research and to find out if there is actually a plan for the county properties and find out why they're cutting them down. Maybe there is a reason that we just don't understand.
I can look into that.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, like, I'm looking at the positive part of this. I'm looking at the positive, saying, would you be willing to support the tree? I don't want to go to the county and say, I want to know why you cut this tree or that tree. I'm just saying, gee, county, it would be really nice if this was all trees and bushes around the.
Yeah, but there might be a reason, fire or something like that. So I think, why don't we ask Sam to check out, you know, he doesn't have to say anything negative or anything with, you know, building and grounds and whoever else, and then next month he'll be able to give us some idea why they're just cutting trees, so that it makes sense to us if there is some kind of plan.
There's a couple things I can speak to that. So I can ask if, you know, to figure out I wouldn't necessarily say like, why are you cutting down our trees? But like, I get to see if there's like a grounds management plan and who makes those decisions, and just try to make friends with them.
Right.
Second, there is, I should say not a plan, but there was a stormwater assessment from county property and how it's contributing to the stormwater, which actually I meant to talk to you about because you were also interested in village stormwater management. But there isn't a plan or assessment, and we are now going to potentially be pursuing grant funding to address this. So that's one element. And another element is I know that the county forester is working on a plan for all county-owned property with reforestation / planting trees, because there's a big New York State initiative to plant, I can't remember how many millions of trees they want to plant throughout New York State.
Right.
They're doing a lot of that, and there's also a lot of funding for like carbon sequestration and stuff. So the county forester might also include, I know he's mostly focused on like own forests, but he also might just include all county-owned property and see how this could fit into it. Because I know he's getting money and grants to plant trees, so maybe. And then I saw the DEC's offering tree sale. I don't know if you've seen that, Lance, but they're cheap. I was like really surprised at how cheap the trees were. It's like $1 a tree for 25 trees. Wow.
It could serve as an example for the county project that could be replicated throughout the county around businesses and wherever, as an example of how a new 21st century version of stormwater runoff.
Like a green space and not just bigger pipes, but
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that might end up being a sort of a project or something that we would be interested in.
I'll share the assessment on the stormwater with everyone.
There's a whole industry out there. I get a newsletter. Stormwater mitigation is a big industry now.
Well, I've talked to all these people within the last 3 weeks, so
Well, that's okay, you know, you're a familiar face, I bet, and sometimes an unfamiliar face gets farther than a familiar face, and, you know. But, I mean, you know, we're not saying no, and we're not saying yes, we're saying we're gonna get some more information, and then maybe, you know, maybe we'll get something that totally explains it in some project that we can actually work on with them to push the whole thing forward. So
I guess what I'm asking for is support, plant more trees and make it nice. If they say to you, we cut those trees down for a good reason, and then leave it there, planting more trees hasn't been part of that conversation. So I'm kind of disappointed that you wouldn't say, yeah, we think this would be a nice idea to have more trees around the county buildings, period.
well, I think Sam is going to get us information.
I mean, we can. I guess my only concern is if there's not part of who does the management of it. If we plant more trees and then they just come down, then that's also kind of counterproductive. And I know, like, we were joking about how they're like the small trees from the DEC.
So there's a guy on the maintenance David Rock, that had run, well, Joe cuts the grass at about 42 miles an hour.
Yeah,
And
that's
he
what I was gonna
runs
say, it
into
just runs
trees.
over them and.
Everybody knows, he's run into trees like this big and run over many, many trees.
Okay, well,
But, I mean,
that's a bigger problem than just planting trees. It's like if the tree is damaged and it's gonna die, then that's one reason to cut it. So I think that next month, we're gonna have more information and we'll be able to make a good decision on which way to go. And, you know, you'll get all the support you want, I'm pretty sure, because we all want trees, we all want
More green space.
more green space. I think if we just put it all out there that's not targeted or focused, that it won't do as much good as if we have a plan. So we're not saying no, but we're gonna work on it, okay? Yeah, okay. So, does anyone else have any announcements? I'm gonna make one, and I think Sam sent this out in an email, but this is like very long-term planning. The 14th to 16th of September is the New York State Invasive Species Expo in Saratoga Springs at the spa. And it says there's no cost for general attendance. And I'm thinking you could go to workshops, but I don't know. It's actually a call for workshops and things like that. And, you know, keep the date open. But Sam did send that out. Does anybody else have any other announcements or anything they'd like to share with us?
Well, I just wanted to mention my idea for March and just get us
Okay.
a quick sense
March
of
19th.
whether it's interesting or not, okay? I've been noticing around my community and many other places that on the state, county, and local level, the roadside mowing has been frankly, causing the Japanese knotweed to just explode. And we don't have any policies that I know of that are where we're in a dialogue with highway departments about just how far back they seem to be cutting these very wide swaths. And I don't think it's getting in the way of snowplowing. I think that's the reason they're doing it. But what they are doing is that they are really causing a spread of Japanese knotweed, and the problem is going to get even worse because they're doing it close to waterways now. And I'll tell you, if Japanese knotweed gets into waterways, we're going to see a dramatic change in the shoreline vegetation of our natural waterways. I'm very concerned about that, but I'm interested in as to whether or not.
I think part of it is fire, but for whatever reason, it's not really getting waterways. John did talk to the highway superintendents in the county, right? It was just county people, I think, or was it town ones?
I think it was town and county.
Town and county.
I guess state and federal, like, I don't know if federal's really doing anything. I don't really know the details of who manages what roads, but they have complicated contracts on stuff. But he did talk to counties and towns. I don't know how successful it is. I feel like they like to do what they do and not be told what to do by some
He was talking to him about wild parsnip.
Wild parsnip
and
also.
trying to get them to mow it before it went to seed. And part of the problem, I mean, they did listen to him, I believe, but I don't think there's been a lot of, I think people have to be reminded all the time. And also, if you have one mower for the town, it's really hard to mow everything at the right time.
There's a lot of roadways to manage, and so I think they're working not around the clock, but like a lot.
I think most of the towns rent the mowers. They don't own the mowers. They lease the mowers for a certain period of time.
Well, I didn't mean to have a big discussion.
No, it's okay.
I just wanted to raise the question about, I could choose a number of topics for March. And that was one that came to mind, but
It's a good topic.
I'll look at a couple other topics too.
I could dig through the files
Yeah.
and see what communications with the departments and what their responses were, so I would probably have that information somewhere.
That would
Would county planning have a map of all the roads in the county and who takes care of them? Because that would be interesting to know as well.
Yeah.
Because
So I do know that we've
yeah, I'm sorry.
We've brought, no, it's okay. We brought up to Don Chambers in the past on behalf of the EMC about the wild parsnip and the response that, you know, and how can we work together, the communities work together to strategically mow. And the response that I've gotten in the past was with 32 communities in the city of Ogdensburg, state, county, local roadsides, some of the county stuff, the towns actually take care of for us. And some of the town roads, the county actually through contracting takes care of, along with state. There's just a lot of it's not cut and dry. And it's because of a lack of access to either equipment or staffing to maintain the vast miles of roadsides that we have, and that it's just an impossible feat, that everybody kind of has their own schedule for mowing. And that's been the comment that I've gotten in the past when I've approached them about a cooperative mowing effort.
Maybe if we knew who was taking care of roads, you could maybe target certain roads and ask them, you know, if we knew who we had to talk to, you could say, well, this is an especially bad place right near the water. Could we work on mowing that one at a certain time, or changing how they mow, or whatever? So if they do have that map, could you send it out maybe? I don't know.
I don't know if they have like an established map. I could dig around and see if I can find anything.
Yeah, because that would be really interesting.
The thing that would be what Nicole mentioned is probably going to be the wrinkle would be the contracts, because like it's very clear on town road versus county road versus state road, and that's all like who has the financial obligation to do it. But like Nicole said, the county takes care of some town roads and towns take care of some county roads. So
right.
Yeah, the state's really one of the biggest culprits. You and I talked about 56.
Yeah.
They don't do anything around guardrails.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the wild parsnip just flourishing just over the edge of those guardrails. That area is not applicable to machine.
Right.
Do they still spray herbicide sometimes to see if
The county does. Somebody does, because I've seen it on the road.
Okay, well, I have guidance.
Move to adjourn.
Yep, all right. Anybody second?
Second.
All right. Anyone?
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.